Hey people, welcome to the channel. And in this case, it's going to be a comparison between the Knipex Cobra XS, the extra small little Cobra plier, and the Leatherman Squirt PS4. I'll also mention a couple things that people have been asking about, so stick around for this one. Should be kind of fun. So one of the things that I've learned over the years, and especially kind of recently, is that people have a great affection towards Knipex pliers. They're great, they're very well made in Germany, by the way, as you can see there, right? Made in Germany, very high quality. And the Knipex Cobra XS is a bit of a darling of the EDC world. So these guys that want to have like a little plier in their pocket because they use it certainly often or something like that, they will like the Knipex. And that's great. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Now, I ended up getting myself one. I think I paid like $25 for it, so not exactly dirt cheap. Now, you're getting quality, and whenever you get that, you usually pay for it. But there it is. It is a tiny little plier that has surprisingly amount of strength for its size. And one of the things that's quickly pointed out is that you can open this to some interesting extent. In fact, you have even greater, and this I pointed out when I did the review of the Knipex Cobra. It's even more than what you can reach with your, kind of like, well, almost there. It's competing. It's not even competing. It is in fact greater than what you can do with a full-size Leatherman or equivalent. More of that in a second. So it's pretty big. And by the way, for people that are asking about alternatives to Leatherman, yes, I like the weight, but I don't want to spend 150 bucks in one. There are alternatives. The patent has expired already, so all of these copies and replicas are not are perfectly legal. The patent has expired, and some of the manufacturers out there are doing a great job at basically copying the same thing. If it didn't say Burberry or whatever, there's a number of brands out there, it would be almost impossible for the average person to tell between this and a Leatherman. Yes, the clip is definitely different, and there's a couple other things, but what's important in terms of the quality of all the tools, they deploy even smoother than in my Leatherman Charge that costs quite a bit more money. So deploys great, very solid. Is it the exact same standards and quality control? I bet it is not. But it is so damn close, I cannot argue against the point of, you know what, I don't want to waste that much money. I don't want to spend that much money. I want to have one spare in a toolbox or in a glove compartment. I just want to have a $25 tool that does what the Wave does. This is it. Burberry or whatever. If I find, I'll leave the links there below. I know that I always mention this, and it's not always the case because often enough, the things just aren't there. But yeah, basically, it is your Wave, but much cheaper. Even the file, yeah, this is going to be a very weird video, but since we're here, so saw, blade, everything, the diamond coated, this is something you rarely see, but this is just like in your Wave, the diamond coated file and wood file on the other side. Very, very nice. Again, I'll leave the links if I find it, and I'll leave the links for the original Leatherman in case that's what you want to go for there below. It is the affiliate program, so it helps out in the channel, not cost on you whatsoever, but there it is. Back to the topic of the video. I like these guys. These are nice. Have I EDC'd this? I had it in my pocket for a couple days. Honestly, I'm not EDCing this. I had it for a couple days, but just to see how it feels. In the pocket, it is super light and it's very flat and convenient, but I ended up using it a couple of times around my desk for little things. You do get a nice amount of strength, and the precision is definitely there. You could even pull like splinters or hair with it because it's so finely, it's so accurate. You know, it's again, German quality. You could even pull a hair with this or splinters, so nice. I also had this very nearby. So if I have to compare these two, how can I avoid doing that? This is the Leatherman Squirt PS4, and this is a fantastic mini tool. In terms of how much tool you get for the power and the money, I would argue that is pound for pound better than the Wave. And I'm not even shitting you. It really is. Most of the things you would use a Wave for, you can do with a PS4. The things you cut, opening a box, cutting a little bit of string, cutting a little bit of cardboard, little else, sure, the blade here is a lot larger, much larger. The blade here is damn tiny. Still a cutting blade, cuts most of the things. 90% of the things you will cut with your multi-tool, you can cut with a smaller blade. It's not the same. It's not going to be the same in pliers, again. But pound for pound, in terms of weight, volume, and even for price, I think I paid $19 or $18 for these. I bought like a 2 or 3 of these when I found them on sale. You cannot go wrong with a PS4, especially if you're a minimalist kind of guy. Now, comparing it to your Cobra, 25 bucks, 18, 19 bucks. I know that prices have changed, but that's what I paid for these. Much better pliers for sure, but these are not really bad. They're very tiny, yes, and a lot weaker, yes. This is a lot stronger, specifically made for that. And yeah, you have this thing. But you know what about the Knipex? You may have a lot of distance here, and you may get a hole on some decent size nuts. But are you really going to be removing a faucet with this thing? You don't have the leverage. Knipex are great, but they're Knipex, the full size ones are the ones where it really shines. Now this sucker right here, yeah, this you can get hold on, and you have the length so as to put proper leverage on what you're working on. This is not the case. So in fact, in spite of being as big as it can get, you just don't have the leverage. And I don't know, maybe you can even end up breaking. They're pretty damn tough. That is also true, but mostly about leverage. It gets to the point where kind of it's not there anymore. So much weaker, smaller pliers. But these are also spring-loaded, meaning I can work nicely with these things. And the kind of little nut or whatever I'm working with in this one, it's going to be more size adequate for it than this. This is a little dog with a big bark, right? It's going to be barking big. Now, it's going to be fighting a Rottweiler? No, it will not. It has that big bark, but it's just still a tiny tool. This is a tiny tool that is more self-conscious, let's put it that way. So this can be surprisingly useful for bending metal, for wire, cutting stuff even a small nut that you have to work on. You can do all of that. It's not the best, but it's doable. And at the same time, you're looking at a proper multi-tool, which this is not. Here I don't have a blade, I don't have the other tools. Here I have a tiny knife, which I already showed. You have a small file, which actually works very well. You can cut a big nice nail with it, so it can go through it. You can file on, it's small, but it's serviceable. It does work for its size. You also have much appreciated screwdriver so as to not mess up with a blade, a bottle opener. Here you have a flat Phillips screwdriver that I found to be over the years surprisingly useful in a number of Phillips screwdrivers. It adapts nicely to small and even some medium size screws. Flat Phillips is surprisingly good. And then you have fan favorite scissors. You have your tiny scissors. Huge? No. But any little thing you want to cut, article from a magazine, cut a little bit of string, cut a little bit of anything you need more precision on, you can do that with this small pair of scissors. So basically what I'm going for this is nice, and it's very in vogue these days. Very, all the popular kids will have the, you know what, man? I will go with a good old Leatherman Squirt PS4. It is so much more useful than the Cobra, at least the way I see it, and for the kind of experiences I've had so far. And if I want to have a nice Knipex, go with 200, 250, even better. A little bit more reach, a little bit more leverage, and damn fine pliers. One final thing I want to drop there in terms of the previous video about the mini ferro rod. No, I have not seen it in Amazon. I leave links for whatever I find. I saw one that's slightly bigger, so maybe you want to get that. But one of the questions was, oh, it's too tiny, it's not useful. No, it is absolutely not the case. It is actually very useful. I've used it, as you see here, about 100, 150 times, throwing very decent sparks. Let's say something horrible happens and you need to use your multi-tool. You need to use your mini emergency fire seal. How many fires can you start with this? 100 fires easily, because you easily get 150, 200 strikes on this one so far, and I can reverse that. And in my experience, if you set up the tinder properly 2-3 times, that's all you need to get a fire started, if you have the properly prepared lint. And I have, by the way, before I forget, if you're interested in all of this stuff, you want to get street survival skills, where I include a ton of the practical advice that I mention here all the time: self-defense, defensive driving, a bunch of other things that you definitely want to learn about. Yeah, it's not just about self-defense and guns. There's also practical preparedness when power goes out, when improvising your own homemade everything, right? So many things that you can use here, as well as surviving the economic collapse, which we're going to be using now as a backstop so as to not burn the shemagh there. So, does it work? Hell yes, it does work, and it does work surprisingly well using just your Victorinox. 1, 2, that would have started a fire if I had properly set tinder. 1, 2 tries. As you see, I mean, cannot make it more simple. It does work. It is tiny, but it does work. So I'll leave the links for that, and you have the links there for the books below in the description. I think that the one I saw now is 3 millimeters, which is just a little bit too thick. This is 2 and 2.2 millimeters, give or take. But it would probably fit in some of the larger Victorinox if you want to give it a try. Okay, guys, that's going to be all for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.